Hi everybody, good morning. This is a free English class for all levels. The topic of the class is Japan, so we will look at an article and vocabulary in relation to the article and the video. First, I hope there's no problem with the connection with the internet and also with the family. I hope there's no interruption, or if I need to go, I just go for a little period. Um, we also have a dog, and the dog maybe will make some noise as well. But I hope you are all okay. Happy Friday. Everybody is probably working from home or studying from home, and I hope everybody is good during the pandemic. And this is the last class this week. So every morning this week I was giving a class in relation to a country, and today is the last class for the countries. Next week I will have more classes with different topics, and I will prepare the agenda today and tomorrow and give the information about next week's classes soon. Okay, so I am a teacher. So why am I giving the free classes? I'm a teacher for the last 10 or 11 years, and I have worked with many people from Brazil, Italy, France, Spain, and I have lived in Madrid also working. And I was working online, and since March with the pandemic I came back to Ireland, and I stopped teaching in May because it was impossible to teach from home really. But finally I have a little space here that gives me the opportunity to record some videos and to give some English classes. Okay, so for the moment I'm very happy to give classes for free to promote my work, and let's see what happens in the future. Okay, so today I want to show you the introduction. It's the same structure today compared to the last classes also. Okay, so I have an introduction document in relation to grammar, an explanation of all the important technical vocabulary. That's very important. Every day this week I did the same, so today I will do the same. After the introduction of the grammar, I have an article in relation to Japan from the BBC travel website. There's another page that we have an article about Proverbs from Japan that maybe is interesting to look at the English in relation to the Proverbs. Okay, and finally I have a video about Japan. It's a tourism video, and it's promoting the different countries, and I have analysed and identified the vocabulary and expressions that are important in the first 5 minutes of the video. Okay, so very similar structure compared to yesterday, compared to this week. And as I said, next week I will change things and we will have a different structure, different topics, and a different focus. Okay, probably on exercises from exams. Okay, so let's begin with the introduction document, and this is the same as you have seen yesterday and during the week. So for me this is very important to explain because there are technical vocabulary in relation to grammar, and first I want to explain the technical vocabulary because during the class I mention different vocabulary, different technical vocabulary, and it's necessary for you to understand clearly the concepts. Okay, so there's three sections. The first section is use of English, in my opinion. The second section are the tenses, and the third section is just grammar in general. Okay, so first, accents. Different accents around the world are very hard to understand, and when you're learning English, probably that is one of the most difficult aspects to really understand different accents from Ireland, England, Scotland, America, Australia. There's many different accents. Okay, so that's a big difficulty. The second topic or point are phrasal verbs. So in English we have the concept of a phrasal verb. It's a verb plus a preposition, and sometimes it's literal, so it has an exact meaning, but another time there's a double meaning or a second meaning that's important to really understand. I'll give you one example. Carry is typical with the bag or the baby. You carry the baby, but connected with the preposition carry on, it's possible to mean continue, and it's necessary the gerund ing after. For example, carry on eating, carry on going. So that category of phrasal verbs are very important, and they're a little difficult to understand or to comprehend, but they're so important to be fluent in English. Okay, so it's a big area. Idioms are like expressions. In Spanish it's phrases hechas, and they're just typical expressions that are used in appropriate moments for cohesion. And here's the famous example: a taste of your own medicine. Okay, own is proprio, and it's a famous expression, I think, in many different languages. Taste of your own medicine. This list is in relation to pronunciation, so yes, pronunciation is important in general, and this list in particular is focused on Spanish speakers. So for example, the Y, yellow, the J is jacket, SH, cash, the G, register, the J, jet, G, engine, G again, fragile, J, jealousy, the Y, yearly, and then chicken and kitchen. Like I explained this week, there's a very funny difference. For some reason, people confuse chicken and kitchen, and they're very different. So chicken is pollo and kitchen is cocina. Okay, so that's just in reference to pronunciation. Pronunciation is very important also. So for me, this area, use of English, probably is the most important aspect when you're learning English. Okay, so it's a little different from grammar. It's more native expressions, conversation, informal. So it's a very important section. The second part are tenses, like the times. For example, the present, the past, and the future. So we have a few different concepts in the times. We have the past simple, which is one moment in the past. The present simple, one moment in the present. The future simple, one moment in the future. We have the past perfect, which is a period in the past, usually before another action in the past simple. Okay, so the past perfect is usually a period in the past before another action in the past simple. Then we have the present perfect, which is a period in the past, but it's related and relevant to the present. Okay, and it's also possible the future perfect. Okay, but the construction of the perfect is the subject, the verb to have, auxiliary, and a participle. Okay, so the present perfect is the verb to have in the present, and the past perfect is the auxiliary verb to have in the past. Had eaten, have eaten. So it's very important. Then we have a continuous. So the present continuous is an action you are continuing to do in the present. For example, I am speaking at the moment. So the construction is the subject, the extra auxiliary verb to be, and the gerundio, the gerund, the ing in Spanish. Okay, so I am eating. The past is the same, continuous period in the past. I was eating. Okay, and the future is the same, I will be eating. Okay, the concept of the infinitive is very important as well. The infinitive in Spanish, for example, is para beber, para comer, para leer, and in English it's to eat, to drink, to go, to meet. So the technical vocabulary infinitive is to eat, to drink. Okay, very important in the explanation. The conditionals are very complicated, and the theory for the conditionals are very difficult when you try to study and read. In reality, they're a bit more flexible and they're not so strict really compared to the theory. But yes, the theory is very important, and another day we will do a video in relation to the conditionals. Basically it's connected to if. For example, if I won the lottery, I would buy a lot of things, for example. That's just a typical expression. And the last tense is very interesting as well, and it's important to recognize in all the articles. It's the active and the passive. And the active basically is the subject, the verb, and the object. For example, I drink water. Just to be simple, I drink water. The subject, verb, and the object. The passive changes the position. The water, extra verb to be, was participle drunk by me. Okay, so the active again, I drink water, and then the passive is the water is, because it's the present, extra verb to be, drunk, the participle, by me. So it's a good concept. I think in Spanish you have the same concept between the active and the passive, but it's very important to try to remember, identify, and possibly use if you're trying to impress in an exam. Okay. The next section is just grammar in general, and these are the words that are very basic and very technical, but very important and the foundation of English. Okay, so it's important to explain a little the vocabulary and the technical vocabulary here. So first we have a substantive or a noun. So basically a substantivo or a substantive is a person, Brian, a place, Italy, Spain, Ireland, or a thing, for example a bike, car. So they are all substantives and are a noun. That's the important concept, okay, very important. For every substantive we have an article. Okay, so for example apple is substantive, house is substantive or noun, but it's necessary an article, and a is the indefinite article and the is the definite article. So the difference between a house and the house. And then if the word begins with a vowel, it's necessary an. Okay, so that's just an irregular important concept as well. So very interesting and important. For substantives and for nouns we have the concept of countable and uncountable. So is it possible to count the substantive, the noun? Is it possible to count or is it not possible? For example, a pen, 1 pen, 2 pens, 3 pens. Yes, it's possible to count. A book, yes, 1 book, 2 books, 3 books. Water, is it possible to count water? Not really, because you never say 1 water, 2 water. It's possible to count bottle or glass, 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 2 glasses, but water is uncountable. Chocolate is the same, money is the same, so they're uncountable, and that's important in relation to how much and how many. So how much is in relation to uncountable, how much chocolate do you want, how much water do you want, and how many is related to countable, how many books do you have, how many pens do you have. So a very important concept between how much and how many. Okay? Adjectives describe the substantive. So the substantive is the person, the place or the thing, and the adjective describes the substantivo. Okay? So for example, pen is the substantive and red is the adjective. So the red pen. So the adjective in English is before the substantive. In Spanish it's the opposite. You have boli rojo. So you have the different position. Very important to know the position. Okay? Adverb are basically describing the verb. For example, run is the verb and quickly is the adverb. Run quickly. And in English always it's ly at the end. Mente, suavemente, lentamente. And in English it's quickly, slowly, softly. The ly is the adverb. It describes the verb. Okay? So very important. We also have modal verbs. So the concept of modal verbs are common in English and we use them all the time. Here is a list of the modal verbs: can, could, may, might, shall, should, will and would. Okay? Basically can is used for ability. Your ability. I can eat chocolate. I can play the piano. I can speak with my friend. I have the ability to speak to my friend. Okay? Could, may and might are all possibilities. I could speak to my friend if I wanted to. I could speak to my friend. It's a possibility. Okay? I may speak to my friend. I might speak to my friend. They're all very, very similar. I think the principal difference is the formality. May and might are a little bit more formal, a little bit more polite, possibly. Okay? But really they're all possibilities or permission. For example, could I go to the shop? Could I speak to my friend? It's permission and possibility. Okay? Shall is definitely more formal and older English, and really it's connected to will. So for example, shall we go is a question. Will we go? Shall you like to watch the television? It's like would you like to watch the television? So it's a bit older. It's not so commonly used in general, but it's important to remember. Should is more for advice and opinion. So if I give you advice, I say to you, you should go to meet your friend, you should have a coffee. It's my opinion, it's my advice to you. And that's typical for should. Okay? So that's the list of modal verbs that are very important. The next section are fundamental. And in English we have prepositions, and we have many prepositions. In Spanish you have prepositions, other languages yes, but in English I think we have a lot. But remember the function In the phrasal verbs, we connect the prepositions in phrasal verbs a lot. So basically, preposition is position in the room, at the room. So in, at, for example, my hand, on my hand, over my hand, under my hand, beside my hand. We've lots of prepositions to represent movement and position. Okay, and we will see in the article and in all my videos we focus on the prepositions a lot. Okay, that's more or less everything, and I just want to mention a few last things. So demonstratives are very important as well. The difference between this, that, these and those. So this is singular here, this, that is singular also in the different positions. So this, that, plural these and plural those. Okay, so very important difference, and it's quite common in English for sure. Possession, my hat, your hat, his hat, her hat, its hat. So if it's not a person, it's more its. Our hat, their hat, your hat, and this in Spanish, whose hat, is the question, cuyos. Okay, and then this is another important part as well. The difference between another and other. So basically, another is normally for singular, another day, another person, another year, and other is normally for plural, other people, other days, other years. So that's the basic instruction to remember for that. Okay, and that's it. We have linkers, conjunctions, linkers, however, although, furthermore, unless, they're very important. And then the concept of a suffix and a prefix, which represents the nature of the word. Is it a verb? Is it a noun? Is it a substantive? So we have suffixes and prefixes that are very important to remember. Okay, good. So that's it. That's always the list I give to students at the start, and you can do CV preparation, job interview, exam preparation, and writing is very important, a different skill in English. Good. So let's close this, and I'll save that. And now let's move to the article. So I'm going to show you the article that I chose for today. It's here somewhere at the back. Yes, so it's from the BBC. Okay, and I'll make my screen a little bit smaller so you can forget about me a little and concentrate on the text. So this is a typical article from a travel review, and normally in travel reviews the vocabulary is fantastic, very colourful, very dramatic, very attractive, and this is the same. So the article has fantastic vocabulary, very colourful, very good for conversation, for formal situations, informal situations, and I want to show you a lot of key points here. Okay, so the title is The Japan Village That Cooks in a Hot Spring. Okay, so a spring is related to the water, like a small area of natural water is the spring, and in relation to the river, you have the river, and the beginning of the river is the spring, because the verb to spring is like saltar. It's in your watch as well. You have a little spring in your mattress, colchon in Spanish. You have the spring. So the spring is the beginning or the start of the river, and in this case it's the area where they cook the food in relation to the hot water. Okay, we will watch. So the same structure will apply. I will read the text first. I will read the paragraphs just to practice the pronunciation, and then after the paragraph I will analyze the vocabulary and the grammar points. Okay, so in a rural village in Wakayama, Japan's only UNESCO inscribed hot spring is also where locals have been cooking their food for centuries. Okay, so I think I have something to show you already in the first paragraph. So here, in is the typical preposition for the spring, like in the water, in the river, in the lake, in the sea, and in the spring is the same. It's different from the season. You have winter, summer, autumn and spring, so it's a different context, but basically the same word, spring, but in this context it's related to the water. Okay, in is the preposition for a village, in my village, in my town, in my city. In again is for the city, in Wakayama. Again the spring. Have been cooking, so this is an example of the verb to be in auxiliary, so it's the present perfect because we have been in the continuous. It's the present perfect continuous, a very advanced structure, and this is the reason I identify it, because if you can use this in an exam or in general English, it's very impressive and very advanced. Okay, so it's an example of the present perfect continuous. Very good structure. Okay, so I'll return to the reading of the paragraph. So on a dark and damp winter morning, just before sunrise, the kitchen staff at Ryokan Adumaya, a traditional Japanese inn located in the small village of Unomin in Wakayama Prefecture, was preparing a local speciality for their guests. In one corner of the brightly lit kitchen, Jutsuo Shinka was stirring a large pot of rice porridge, nimbly scooping it in his ladle and gently letting it spill back into the mixture. As the porridge came to a boil, a thick, slightly yellowish foam built up that threatened to spill over the rim of the metal pot. Okay, so quite good, really good vocabulary, and I want to show you the important part here. And here we go. So the first preposition is on in relation to a morning. Okay, so normally we say in the morning. I meet my friends in the morning, I meet my friend in the afternoon, but here we say on this day, on this special day, this special occasion. So I suppose it's a special morning, and on this morning, damp is very important vocabulary. It's related to wet, so it's not exactly wet, mojado in Espanol, it's a little less. So you know, after the night, the ground, the grass, hierba is a little wet. Okay, and damp is just the same. For example, the clothes after the washing machine, the clothes are a little damp. Okay, so very good vocabulary. Just before sunrise, so the verb is to rise. The subject is the sun and rise is the verb. So the sun rises, and the substantive here is the sunrise. The opposite is to set. So the sun sets, but the sun rises, and the substantive is sunrise and the substantive is sunset. So here I'm going to use my notes so you can see everything clear. I'll make it a little bit bigger as well. And here we go. So you have the sun rises, the verb, or the sun sets, and the substantive is here, sunrise, and the substantive is sunset. Okay, and it is possible also dusk, and it's possible dawn as well, like alba in Espanol. So there's different vocabulary to express the same concept. Okay, staff are the workers. So if you have a group of workers, they are the staff in the company. In the shop, you have the staff. In the hotel, you have the staff. It's the workers. Okay, very different from stuff. Stuff are the things, and staff are the workers. So I'm just going to write that here, the difference. Staff are workers, and stuff are cosas, things. So a very important difference, very, very different, completely different. And I'll just make a note so you say that, very different too. Okay, at is the location, so at the Ryokan Aduyama. So here is the secret, it's an inn, a Japanese inn, it's like a hotel. An inn is probably lower quality or lower facilities than a hotel. Hotel, inn, bed and breakfast. We have also in English a B&B, that's very typical, and an inn is a type of accommodation with maybe limited facilities. Okay, and it's at because it's the location, at the hotel, at the inn. Okay, and located, in again for the village. In the small village is the preposition for like town, in the city, in the village. Again, in, the preposition is for the city, in Wakayama. Preparing is connected with the preposition for. I am preparing a meal for you. I am preparing some work for you. I am preparing my house for you. So prepare something for somebody. That's the typical structure. Okay? And the guests are the invited people. So the guest is the person. In one corner, so the preposition for corner is in one corner. Brightly, so bright is brillante. In Espanol, mucha luz, a lot of light, so very bright. It's possible the person is very bright, very intelligent. So bright is possible intelligent. But here we have ly, and that's an example of the adverb, like mente in Espanol. Entonces, brillarmente. No sé si existe, pero very bright. So here it's connected to the verb, and the verb is lit. So I just want to write bright. A bright person is intelligent person, smart person, and then the adverb is bright. So the next one is the verb to light. Okay, so luz is light, substantivo. Okay, the light is the noun. Remember in the explanation, to light is the verb. For example, the fire in the house, in the sitting room, in the living room, you have the fire, and the verb is to light the fire. Okay, and the substantive is the light. Okay, but the past is irregular. So verb infinitive to light, past simple irregular lit. Okay, so for example, I lit the fire. That's the past simple of the verb, irregular. So it's a little difficult because it's irregular. And it's very common so here we have, it's brightly lit kitchen. Here it's an adjective in connected to the kitchen. It's brightly lit, or well, it is a form of the verb, but the concept is related to bright, brillar. Informal and very common nowadays for a party. If you say the party is lit, it's possible to mean the party is very fantastic. Everybody is full of life, full of energy. Everyone's having a great time. The party is lit. It's very, very conversational, very informal, and it's possible in series or in movies or with your friends. Okay, so let me write that just to remember. The party is lit. It's like a fantastic atmosphere, but very informal. Quite bastante, quite informal. Okay, so that's good. Brightly lit kitchen, and remember the difference between the kitchen and the chicken, completely different. So kitchen is cocina. Okay, stirring, yesterday we saw the example to stir. So the verb is to stir, and it's like mezclar for the food. For example, the soup, gazpacho. If I'm making gazpacho or the soup, I stir the soup. Okay, and yesterday we have a few examples. For example, the trouble, the problems. If the person creates the problems and makes the situation peor, worse, makes the situation worse, they stir the trouble, they stir the problems. Okay, and the pot is the for cooking. You have the pan for the egg, the pan, and the pot for the soup. Okay, so a pan, a pot and pan. A pot for the soup, and a pan for the eggs, fried eggs. Okay, so I'll try to move that as well so you can see the vocabulary perfect. So yesterday we had the example with stir, and if something is stirring in you, it's like a sensation. Something's almost ready to happen. Something is stirring, something is preparing. Okay, so it is quite good. Nimbly is very good. Adverb, again, ly is the adverb, but the adjective is nimble, like very flexible. If the person is very nimble, they're very flexible, adaptable. Okay, and nimbly is like adaptably, very flexibly. Scooping is a very difficult verb, and it's very important. Okay, so the verb is to scoop. It's connected to ice cream. So for ice cream you have one scoop of ice cream, but basically the concept of scoop is this action, scoop. So imagine the ice cream and you scoop the ice cream. For the dog, my dog, if he goes to the toilet outside, you have to scoop the dirt from the floor. So scoop is this action. It's possible in the awards for the competition, for the premios in Espanol, you have the awards, and it's possible the person scoops 3 awards, 4 awards, scoops, like takes, or ganar, wins. Okay, so here it's related to food. It's very simple in relation to the spoon, the culture, or the ladle, and the spoon here in Spanish is, so you're clear, cuchara. Okay, so the cuchara is the spoon, and the typical action with the cuchara is to scoop. It's that action. Okay, and here a ladle, here they have the word a ladle. It's not very common for me, but it is important. It's a type of cuchara, a type of spoon. Okay, another word. So nimbly scooping is like very flexibly, very adaptably, because it's a difficult position. And gently permitting it spill. Okay, so spill is with a liquid. My glass of water, if I have my water to the top and another more water, spills. Okay, and spill with the preposition spill back into. So the preposition here is just spill back into. It's just for the movement and the position. It's literal, so it's not a phrasal verb particularly. Here it's just literal movement of the liquid when it's spilling. Okay, this is a very good expression, to come to a boil. Very good expression. So the verb is to boil, and it's related to food with the egg. You boil an egg. So two possibilities: fry an egg como frito, pero with the agua caliente you boil the egg. So the expression is venir, to come to a boil. So it's a process. Okay, so for example, in your company you have an argument, a lot of tension with your manager. There's a lot of tension, so it's increasing, and finally everything comes to a boil. A really important moment. That's a big maybe confrontation, and it's the maximum tension. So that's the expression, to come to a boil. It's possible for food, and it's possible for arguments or tension in professional situations, in informal situations. Okay, so to come to a boil. It's possible as well, ahead, cabeza, to come to a head. So the problem, come to a head. It's like the same concept, the maximum point of the confrontation or the tension. Yesterday we spoke about boiling as well as adjective in relation to the temperature. The weather is boiling, like very, very hot, which is unusual in Ireland, because today, for example, it's freezing, very, very cold for the next 3 or 4 days. But when it's very hot in Spain or other countries, not Ireland, it's normally that it's boiling. The weather is boiling. Okay, and I think we saw that in yesterday's class as well. Very good. Thick is espacio. So the liquid is very especio, I think, in Espanol. Just to be clear, I'm going to throw you the translation here. Thick is specifically grueso, abundante, espeso. Yeah, okay, espeso. And very, very good. Thick. The book is very thick. It's actually an insult. If you want to insult a person, you can say thick, like very stupid. And it's possible the person is very thick, very stupid, so it's an insult as well. So you can see it's very flexible, and words are very important in lots of different situations. Slightly is a little. Slightly happy, slightly tired, slightly hungry, slightly correct. So it's a little, not completely, not nothing, a little. Slightly happy, a little happy. Yellow is the colour, but it's possible with the suffix here, yellowish, and it means a little yellow. Are you hungry? Ish, hungry-ish. A little informal, but it means a little hungry. This is related to the colour. For example, this t-shirt, is it yellow? Not exactly, it's yellowish, a little bit yellow. Okay, and very important in conversation, and we use it all the time. Foam is espuma. So foam for the coffee, for the cappuccino, you have the espuma at the top, the foam. And yesterday I think we saw another word, the froth. Okay, there's another word, froth and foam. So froth is for the cappuccino, and espuma really. Okay, built up is from the verb construir, to build, to construct, and up is usually positive, so it's accumulation. So you build up a lot of reputation. It's like accumulated. Built up respect, accumulated respect. Okay. Threaten is very important for sure. Amenazar in Espanol. So the verb is to threaten, amenazar, and the substantivo is a threat. Very, very good word for sure. Okay, so to threaten and a threat. Really good vocabulary. So a thick, slightly yellowish foam. Very good vocabulary. Built up, that threatened to spill over. Again, the preposition spill is the verb with the liquid, and over is this action, movement, the preposition. The rim of the metal pot. So the rim is very good vocabulary. You have the pot for the soup, and the rim is the top. Think basketball as well. You have basketball, you have the hoop, and the rim is the middle of the hoop. The inside of the hoop is the rim. Okay, so very good vocabulary, very specific vocabulary, and very interesting. Okay, so I will return to the text. Only 2 paragraphs, and it is full of very important English lessons, English points, and vocabulary. So very interesting. Okay, here you can see the man looks like in his kitchen, and there's a perfect example. So that's the spoon or the ladle, that's the pot, and that's the rim of the pot. Okay, and this action is to scoop. Very, very good, and very nimbly, very flexible, because it's a bit complicated maybe. So really good picture to describe the situation. Very good. Okay, and that maybe here is the pan or a bowl. It could be a bowl or a pan. Excellent. So let's look at the next 2 paragraphs, and again I will read just for pronunciation, and we'll try to understand the feeling and the sense of the paragraph. We have to let air into the porridge to keep it cool enough so that it does not boil over, Shinka said, letting the yellow foam rise just short of the pot's rim before stirring the mixture over and over again. Excuse me. It takes about 12 to 13 minutes for the rice to cook, and then it needs to steam in the pot for another 15 minutes. The foam gets thicker as it cooks and the porridge becomes stickier. The best time to eat it, I was told, is about 15 minutes after it has been cooked. The Royakan's rice porridge wouldn't require so much attention if regular water was used. But this is not your ordinary rice porridge. It is made with water from Unnomi's ancient onsen, natural hot spring. Okay? So, again, just 2 paragraphs and probably a lot of important information. So I hope you understand more or less the concept of the text, and now I will just return to the page to show you the next one. Here, have cooked is an example of the present perfect. Okay, so we have the auxiliary to have, here it's in the present, plus the participle of the verb to cook, have cooked, present perfect, because remember it started in the past and it's a period, but it's relevant to the present because they continue to cook in that sense. Okay, so it started in the past and it continues to be relevant today. That's a perfect example because they have been doing it for generations. Okay, the verb to let is permittere, and normally the rule after let, the next verb with the infinitive, we eliminate to. Very important irregular rule. The verb to let, for example, let the person go. We eliminate to go, only go. Let the person have, let the person eat, let the person drink. Eliminate the to for the infinitive. Okay, that's the normal rule, but here it's different because it's a to. There's no extra verb. Okay, so we have to let air into, preposition into, the porridge. To keep is like maintain. To maintain it is the porridge. To keep the porridge cool enough is sufficient. And remember, the adjective is before enough. Last week I recorded a video in relation to the explanation of enough, and the position of enough is after the preposition. Happy enough, tired enough. Okay, so that is a very important, it's the purpose. Okay, I go to the shop so that I can buy some milk. I speak to my friend so that I can know his news. So it's the connection, it's a linker, it's a very, very simple linker, but it's not so common for people learning English. So I recommend that you're very familiar with that simple expression, so that. It's for the purpose, okay? Again, the verb to boil, boil over. So boil is with the water, and boil over is a problem. Similar to spill over. And it's the same, you can have a meeting and there's a confrontation in the meeting, and the confrontation boiled over until the next day, so it continued. Very good expression. Rise is the verb. Remember, the sun rises, the temperature rises, the price rises, and here it's the verb to rise. Just short of is a good simple expression. So short is corto in Espanol. So just short of the rim. So the rim is the top and the water rises just short, just before. Okay, this one is very good as well in conversation, over and over again. It's very good in general English for sure, and it's like repetition. So I speak to my friend and I tell my friend again, de nuevo, again and again and again, the same information. So I tell my friend over and over and over again. It's a very good expression and it means repetition. Okay, so here, stirring the mixture over and over again. So it's repetition. Continue again. Okay, so very simple, but very fluent and very conversational. Okay, the verb to take in relation to time is like durar in Espanol. So the plane, the flight from Dublin to Madrid takes 2 hours or 3 hours. It lasts. So you have two verbs, to take or to last, and it's durar in Espanol. Okay, so the plane or the flight takes 3 hours is exactly the same as the flight lasts, durar, 3 hours. Okay, so very interesting, very important, and here it's in relation to duration. So the duration is about 12 to 13 minutes for the rice to cook. To steam is vapor. The hot vapor is the verb to steam. So boil is with the water, but the steam is that is released, the vapor that is released. And specifically in Spanish, to steam, here you have the substantive, which is vapor, and the verb is cocer al vapor, cocinar al vapor. Okay, so that's the concept here. Normally another is for singular, another day, another minute, another year, but here it's another 15 minutes. And I think the concept here is because the 15 minutes is one period. One 15 minutes, another 15 minutes, and that's the reason we have another here. So you need to be a little bit conscious of that. Like you go to the cafe and you order a coffee, and the lady or the man says, do you want another coffee? Okay, so it's again the same singular concept. Gets is become. So to get tired, to get hungry is to become. There are 4 different meanings with get. Get is to obtain. You got your certificate. You got the news. You obtained the news or received the news. Arrive is to get. You get to Dublin at 8 o'clock. You get to Italy at 1 o'clock. And here it's become. You get tired. You get hungry. It's become. And the verb is to become. Llevar a ser. Okay, so to become and to get are practically the same, particularly in this context. Thicker is más espeso, so thick is espeso, and the comparative is thicker. So happy, happier, thick, thicker, and here it's más espeso. Okay, as is mientras. I think here as is mientras, and last week I recorded a video in relation to grammar and in relation to as in particular, and one of the functions of as is mientras, while in English. Okay. Stickier, so becomes is the same as gets. It's a synonym. It gets stickier, it becomes stickier. The verb is to stick is pegar, and pegoso I think is sticky, the adjective, and más pegoso is stickier. Okay, so the verb is to stick. So let me put here. To stick is pegar, el verbo. Sticky is the adjective, and then we have más. Pegoso is stickier. Okay, so very interesting vocabulary and very, very good. It's possible a problem. If you have a complicated problem, you can say, I have a sticky situation. It's a little bit complicated. A sticky situation, that's possible. Okay, a sticky situation. It's like a problematic, a complicated situation. Very good. So very important to remember the different contexts and the different uses of the vocabulary. I was told, that's a perfect example of the active and the passive. So here we have the auxiliary verb in the passive. So it is the passive. So somebody is the active. Somebody told me, that's the active. And then the opposite is I was told. So like we said in the introduction, that's just a little example. Okay, I was told. Then in the next paragraph, there's nothing really important to remember in that paragraph. Okay, so let's return to the text, and we will do maybe one more paragraph. So of the more than 3,000 onsen bubbling throughout Japan, Yuno means, which was discovered roughly 1,800 years ago, is said to be the oldest. It is revered as an integral part of the sacred UNESCO inscribed Kumano Kodo pilgrimage route. that passes through Yunomin, and for centuries pilgrims walking the 1,000-year-old trails have come to Yunomin to cleanse themselves after their long journey. Okay, so this is the final paragraph, and there's one or two expressions here that are important. Bubble, the substantivo of bubble is burbuja, and the verb is to bubble. Okay, so if there's again problems, if there's tensions are bubbling, like very similar to boiling, and it's a synonym really for boiling, and that's the reason they use it, boiling. And throughout is very important. So through is a través, but throughout is durante todo. Throughout the weekend, durante todo el fin de semana. Throughout the year, durante todo el año. So throughout is a través todo de Japón. Okay, very, very good vocabulary, and it's very simple, but we use it a lot. Throughout the day is during all the day. Throughout the year, during all the year. Very good. Okay, roughly is approximately. So discovered roughly 1,800 years ago, approximately 1,800 years ago. It is revered, like celebrated, very advanced, a little formal. So it is celebrated, or people adore the place. Okay, so it is revered as an integral part of the sacred, the route that passes through, a través, passes, pasar, a través, Yunomin. Okay, and then the final verb is to cleanse, which is very simple, similar to clean. So to cleanse and to clean. Clean is limpiar, and cleanse is probably purificar. Okay, so in English, purify and cleanse and clean, a little bit different. And here, cleanse is more similar to purify. Okay, so quite good. I will close that. It's a very good article, and I recommend again to read reviews and travel reviews, movie reviews, because the vocabulary is more colourful and more attractive really, and it's a quick way to get to a better level, I think. Okay, so very good. We will close that article, and I will put the link in the video. The next one is something a little bit different. I'll just do one or two. This is a website from, I think, an Irish guy in Japan, and he just explains some of the proverbs in Japan in English. Okay, so I'll just explain one or two, and then we can move to the video. Okay, so the first proverb they say here is at the bottom. So let me move for 1 second. Here's the first one. Okay, so this is the Japanese proverb here. Obviously I don't speak Japanese, but I can try. This is the phonetic pronunciation. Ino naka no kawazu taikei wo shirazu, something like that. Okay, so I apologize for my bad Japanese for anybody listening, but the English translation is a frog, and a frog is a was it reno in Espanol? Frog, rama. I'm just waiting for the connection. Rana. I was very, very close. So a frog in a well, and the well is the water. Okay, so you have to excavar, dig for the water, and the well is the place where the water is kept, and a well knows nothing of the sea. So the expression is a frog in the well knows nothing of the sea. And here's the translation. This famous saying or expression means someone sees the world through their limited perspective. Okay, so we have an expression in English, a small fish in a big pond. Okay, there's a small fish in a big pond, and maybe it's something similar here. The frog in the well only understands his area, and he doesn't understand anything of the big ocean. So it's a Japanese proverb. I thought it was interesting as well. And then the final one here that I'll do is, here's the Japanese, and the English phonetic is mizu ni nagasu, and it means the water flows really in English. And the explanation is this Japanese proverb is like the English expression water under the bridge. That's a very famous English expression. So if you have an incident, a problem, one day, and then next week you forget about the problem because the water flows, and you have the bridge, so you are the bridge, and the problem passes. Okay, so it's water under the bridge. You have forgotten about it. It's a very famous expression. Okay, so I will close that. That's just a good page if you want to recognize and read some material in relation to Japan. Okay, so this I'll close, I think I have another document here in relation to the video. Yes, so here is the video, and it's about Japan. Similar to yesterday, we had the video about, or 2 days ago, about South Korea. So at the bottom here I have the vocabulary, the important vocabulary from the video. So I'll just zoom out to make it smaller, so I'll explain. And it's only 2 or 3 minutes, and there's just 1 or 2 expressions that I think are worth remembering. So let's go to the top. At the start she says towering skyscraper. So the sky is cielo and scrape is rasca. So rasca cielo in Espanol, because the verb in English is to scrape, typical with the children, to scrape. Okay, and sky is cielo, so the skyscraper. And here is the adjective, is towering. So because it's very, very high, it's possible for a person, you could say the person is towering above another person. He's really, really tall, muy alto. Okay, brightly clad means decorated. It's very difficult vocabulary, but remember, brightly is the adverb, like brillarmente. Clad is decorated, so brightly decorated in neon lights. Okay, so the connection with the preposition here is clad in. Very proficient English, so don't worry at the moment. It's very, very proficient. Okay, then she says temples and shrines dotted streets. So yesterday I think we saw dotted as well. The dot is like a mancha. You have a dot on your t-shirt. The Dalmatian has a lot of dots. Okay, but in relation to the map, the plano in Espanol, you look at the map and there's a restaurant here, a restaurant here, a restaurant here, a restaurant here. There are restaurants dotted around the city, so located. It's connected to location, dotted. Okay, so here they say the temples and the shrines are located in different parts of the streets. Very fluent English and very advanced, and she speaks very quickly in this video, so it's no surprise if you don't catch it in ordinary English situations. Then the third example is, while the world-class restaurants, so here's a good adjective, world-class, like amazing, restaurants. Here's the difficult expression, rub shoulders with. So your shoulder is this part of the body, and rub is this action. Okay, rub. And for Spanish, I'll just get the specific translation here. El verbo, to rub, is frotar. Okay, in school you have a rubber. That's the object to erase the pen, to erase the pencil is a rubber. So frotar is to rub, and the expression is to rub shoulders with. Basically it means you're in good company. So you're rubbing shoulders with the stars, with the famous people. That means you're at the same party as the famous people. You're speaking with the famous people, for example. So it's a very excellent expression. Okay, to rub shoulders with the stars, to rub shoulders with the celebrities. So to be in the same company with the physical presence. Okay, so that's a good expression, and I think I have a couple more. So, and it's cities. So this is possession. My city, your city, her city, but it's because it's not a person. It's possession for a city or for an object or for a country. Its city. So Japan's, the possession of Japan. So it's, because it's not a person. Bustle is the key vocabulary, and it means energetic, a lot of energy, a lot of life, and it's a verb typical for the city. If you go to the city and there's lots of people moving and pushing and shoving, there's an expression to bustle. Okay, and it's a little advanced, but it's very good with life and energy. And then the next one that's key as well, endlessly. So that's the adverb with the ly, and the typical adjective is endless, so sin final, and then endlessly is sin finalmente. So Japan is a warm, welcoming and endlessly interesting travel destination. Okay, and then the last one is the historic city of Kanazawa boasts. That's very difficult as well. It's like acclamar or reclamar. Okay, so it's like acclamar, reclamar, a rich history. The person who is very successful, or the person who has a lot of maybe success, they boast, they tell everybody. Okay, so the verb here to boast, specifically in Spanish, here is presumir, alardear. Okay, and the substantive is possible. A person is a boaster. is a maybe informal situation, the person, but here the city boasts a rich history. Okay, so I'll just play the video and you can listen to the expressions, and I will keep the vocabulary open at the same position so you can see the two together. So let me put this here and I'll put it beside the video, and I think you can hear it perfect, no problem. Okay, so I'll move it at the same time.
With its enormous cities and towering skyscrapers brightly clad in neon lights, Japan is a fun country to visit, full of history and with a rich cultural heritage. Temples and shrines dot its streets, while world-class restaurants rub shoulders with ancient castles and imperial palaces, and its cities bustle with life and energy. Japan is a warm, welcoming, and endlessly interesting travel destination, with something for everyone. Here's a look at the best places to visit in Japan. Number 10. Kanazawa. Located between the wild waters of the Sea of Japan and the towering Japanese Alps, the historic city of Kanazawa boasts a rich history and culture. In the center of the city, you can find a fantastic centuries-old castle, as well as charming and well-preserved samurai and geisha districts. Their narrow alleys are lined by traditional houses, cozy tea shops, and a number of atmospheric temples and shrines. Its most famous attraction is the lovingly landscaped Kenrokuen, which is considered to be one of the most beautiful gardens in Japan.
Okay, so there's a lot of music in that video, but I hope that you caught the majority of the expressions. The final vocabulary here is as well as, it's like tambien. Charming is a very good vocabulary for, I'll get the specific translation here, typical for a person, or like very beautiful or attractive. And charming here specifically, well, that's in Japanese, so we don't do Japanese for the moment. Let me see if I have the translator. Okay, charming in Espanol. Specifically here, the connection, just one moment. And here they say the charming and well preserved location, encantado. Okay, so a charming person, encantado. And then finally they say a narrow, which is estrecho, so very narrow, very estrecho. The opposite is amplio, wide. And the alleys are the like little streets, pequeño calles. Lined is the verb. So lined by, it means it has objects on the side of the line, like al lado. And cozy is a very important vocabulary as well. It's like very comfortable, or very warm, or very good. So if it's a cozy tea shop, it's very warm, very pretty. Okay, and just the pronunciation there, premiere. It's the premiere. So the difference between premier and premiere, here it has the extra e. And it's typical for the movie, like estrenar, you have the premiere of the movie, the first movie. And here it means the best, the first beach, the playa, okay? And that's it. And then the final vocabulary is exuberant, is very, with a lot of life, vibrante. And then the final verb, which is a little bit difficult, is to comb. So it's typical with the hair, you brush the hair, you comb the hair. And to beach comb is to really move to different beaches. You search for different beaches. Okay. So that's a good example of the class. It's all for free. So thank you very much. And that was the introduction of the grammar, the article with the vocabulary, and also the video, which is some of the vocabulary to catch in the listening. So again, thank you. It was all for free. And I'll leave this here. If you want to make a little donation or a tip, I'll put my PayPal account there if you want. It's not an obligation, it's just an option. Thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy the weekend, and I will continue with my videos and hope we can talk soon. So thank you very much and talk to you later. Bye.